Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be informed, encouraged, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author of the book Stay the Course, and certified leadership trainer, Don Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as the host himself, yours truly. Now let the fun begin. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, got to thank my good buddy, Miss TM herself, and no, not trademark, Miss Tammy Matheny, baby, working me up with this superstar of a guest, because this is the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, and we got a treat for you today, folks, with a capital T, because my man was a former professional athlete who not only was a former professional athlete, he's also a Hall of Famer, baby, because he was inducted into the Gwinnett County Sports Hall of Fame in Georgia, baby. And now he's a keynote speaker who is active and on the scene. And he's also the CEO of his own company, Game Changer Coaching. So let's give it up for Mr. RC himself, Mr. Radiant and Courageous Rennie Curran. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, man. That's an awesome introduction. I need to hire you full time, man, to do all my introductions. Awesome. Yeah. Glad to be on, man.
Yeah, the intro is usually the best part before I start making jokes about trees and random pancakes.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Man, but hey, it ain't about pancakes. It's about the man who's got all the magical motivation and the faith to go with it, man. So for those who still don't know about you, yet been hiding under 13 rocks, mind filling in any cavities I missed about you, my man?
Yeah, so hit everything on the head. My background being a former professional athlete. And one of the biggest things for me is my foundation, man. Both my parents being Liberian immigrants who came here in the 80s, I always share about them, man, just because I have so much honor and respect for the sacrifices that they made to allow me to even be in a position to chase my dreams, man. And so none of the things that you mentioned would be possible if it weren't for them coming here. My mom coming here for education to get her master's in nursing. My dad came and worked in the shoe repair shop for 12 hours a day. Just the sacrifices, man. That was where it all started. And from there, I actually was a musician before playing football. I grew up playing the piano, drums, and viola. So that was a huge part of my life and still is to this day. And now I was able to achieve my dreams playing at University of Georgia and playing in NFL and CFL. But besides, the speaking and the books that I've written and coaching, one of the things I'm really passionate about is something I recently started, which was my foundation, the Game Changers Foundation, which helps current and former athletes in sports, business, and life. And we do that through community engagement. So having former players who go out and speak to teams and speak at schools, and then also mentorship one-on-one. And then last but not least, we also offer professional development. So doing a lot in that space, along with working with, businesses, organizations, and schools as well, man. So just really, really trying to serve, man, and leverage what the good Lord has given me.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And you said something real powerful. Actually, one of our past guests, Gio DeReese, mentioned how, like, in these interviews, like, it's always good to mention those who probably should be in the seat with you, because with the wonderful hard work and faith of your wonderful parents immigrating from Liberia to help you to get this opportunity, man, that's really powerful, man. And it's good that you acknowledge them.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I got so many people. We'd be on this podcast all night if I were to acknowledge everybody who's been a part of my success, from the teammates, the coaches, the teachers, the chaplains, and all types of people, man, who just stepped in and really just created opportunity, gave me access and exposure, and just a solid environment to grow up in, man. Even when I wanted to be a knucklehead, it's like I just had so many good people around me and a good, solid environment that just reinforced the right values, man. So I'm definitely a product of a great environment. So yeah.
Amen. So there you can say that again. Like, so what kept you focused on your goals? Was it the two older sisters, or was it something else?
Man, I mean, honestly, like, when you come from that background of just like humble beginnings, you know, like my earliest experiences were seeing, like, once again, my parents not only sacrifice for us, but also just what they did for so many people, man. During my early years, there was a civil war that was going on in their home country of Liberia, where over 400,000 people lost their lives, and a lot of our family became refugees. And so both my parents being the oldest, they not only, like I said, worked for us, but they were helping a lot of our family come over here and restart their lives. And the house was always packed, man. Mom was always cooking and then going to work, you know, be up at 4 a.m. And just seeing that, man, that selflessness and the sacrifice and the values they instilled in me of leadership, man, that's part of what kept me focused, was just knowing like there's a whole nother world outside of my reality where people are literally like struggling, man, like don't have anything. And knowing that the opportunities I have could one day create opportunities for people that I may or may not ever meet. And so that just gave me a whole different mission, man. It gave me a whole different drive for what I did. Just seeing their grind, man, and how they took something and made something out of nothing. You know, so I really didn't need a lot, man. I had a powerful fuel growing up.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Then role models and then modeling the behavior afterwards. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because you have this powerful story that you share on multiple occasions about, heck, even after growing up and getting into your football days, where you would actually basically stand about a good 10 feet behind the other players and
Mhm.
make sure you actually emulate and mimic what they're doing, because you never know when your opportunity will show up, and it did.
Yeah, that's definitely a major part of my story, and something that I talk about a lot, man, because there's so many times in life where we're not in that position we want to be in, and we allow our circumstances to dictate our motivation, our drive, and the dedication we have to what we do and how we approach what we do. So I was never, I was that, you know, underdog story to the max, man. So like I was never that guy who showed up on any team and was automatically the starter. Like I was always, even in Little League, I started out at offensive lineman. When I got to high school, I got moved from running back to linebacker, which I couldn't stand. So I was ready to quit. You know, got to Georgia. I was the undersized linebacker that wasn't supposed to be there. NFL, CFL, same thing, man. Heard every single short joke in the book. And so during those times, man, before I arrived, quote unquote, before I became the starter, it was always that test of faith, man, that test of character where it's like I had to be second string. I had to be scout team. I wasn't getting acknowledged by the coaches. And so I had to, in that time, put myself in the mindset of a phrase that I use, which is operating at the level of my vision, man, not the circumstance, not the title I was in, not how somebody, not operating based off how somebody even perceived me, but based off of where I was going to, I believe, eventually be if I dedicated myself to a certain standard, right? A certain just mannerism, certain habits. I just believed that it was going to lead to something great. And I believe that God was going to honor my sacrifice, man. And I think that that is something that so many people I think can benefit from, because there's people in jobs right now they can't stand. There's people in on teams where the coaches aren't putting them in that position that they believe they should be in. It's very easy to get down on yourself. So yeah, that was one of the biggest things, man, is when I was scout team, when I was third, you know, second string, I would literally be the starting team shadow and mimic their every move. And just when the ball was snapped, I'm 20 yards behind as if I'm in the game. And what happened was 7, 8, 9 weeks sometimes will pass. I did this at every level. You know, those weeks would pass, and eventually somebody get hurt, somebody would screw up on a play, and I would step in. And because I did all those, you know, like I said, I operated at the level of my vision. I operated as if I was a starter before I ever was. When I got in there, I was ready and I dominated. And that's something that I use now in business.
That's what I'm talking about, man. And that's the powerful jewel right there as a centerpiece for a tennis bracelet, man. Operate at the level of your vision, man. Like that is
Yeah.
so freaking powerful, dude.
Yeah, if you, I mean, if you really, really apply that to your life, man, it can, I mean, it can just do some amazing things for you. And, you know, it's really about faith, honestly, like when you think about it, because your vision sometimes can seem so far out of reach. But, you know, if you're going by faith and you're just operating in that, you know, you're operating in that space and in God's will that you know he has for your life, man, then it's gonna happen. Like something good is gonna happen. Whether if it's just you develop new skills, you build relationships that you never would have had, or you just have the right perspective to get through whatever situation that you're currently in. Like something good is gonna happen. So I've seen so many good things happen, not only for myself, but for so many others, just by them, dedicating to, like I said, just what's to come, and having that certainty in what's to come.
Amen to that. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. So, since a man is a man of faith and we're in some crazy times right now that seem to just get crazy, what
Mhm.
keeps you strong in your faith, my man?
Man, so what keeps me strong in my faith, honestly, is my past. Like, yeah, knowing what I've already been through. Like, if for those who are listening, man, if you just think back to what you already been through, what you already overcome, then it's like, how can you not be motivated? How can you not get up every single day and be excited? When you look around and you see people who have, so many people have passed this year, like people who are, I can honestly say, better people than I am. They're gone. You know what I'm saying? Like people who can barely afford the bills, people who are going through all types of things, and like I'm still in my right mind. I'm still healthy. I can wake up and I have the ability to speak for a living and to, empower people for a living, man. It's like I got no complaints. I got it's like, why wouldn't I believe that good things are in store, and more good things are to come, man? And so that's just how I approach life. It's like always remembering to count my blessings, always remembering the times that I didn't have, the times that I heard no, the times where, all hope seemed lost, and somehow, some way, like somebody showed up just in time, or something came through to where like I was able to make it through that moment, man. Once I think about that, it's just like that. It just empowers me. And I think about it every single morning.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So, since my man was able to make it to the highest level, which is the NFL and football, man, and there's probably tons and tons of kids who want to make it to that level. Any advice for the younger folks that may be listening to this that may want to get a gem or two from someone who actually made it to that level? Because it's a very small percentage that actually make it even
Mhm.
to college, and then even from college to the NFL, man. So, any advice for those out there maybe listening and need some advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes back to what I said about operating at the level of your vision, man. If your vision and your ultimate dream is to be, at that NFL level, at the top level with the elites, with the 1%, it's like you got to ask yourself, how do I need to operate? How do I need to function to be at that level right now? Right? What is 1%? What does that 1 percentile look like? What does elite look like? What is being a pro look like? If you don't know, you need to study it. You need to study the greats, the Ray Lewis's, the Tom Brady's. You need to see what their work ethic is like, what their days are like. All of that's on YouTube. There's no, there's no excuse now. All the information is out there. All the videos and content are out there. So once you understand what that entails, what that's going to require of you, you got to ask yourself, if I want to be a pro, am I a pro right now? Do I have a pro attitude? Do I have pro habits? How do I act when we're down? Our team is down by 2 touchdowns. Am I the guy who throws in the towel? Am I a guy who's self-motivated, or am I somebody who my parents have to motivate me and my coach has to yell at me for me to get things going? So you really have to ask yourself those questions about, and be real with yourself. If I want to play at this high level, am I, operating at that level right now? And because I truly believe, like I say all the time, every day is a brick. Every day you're building a foundation that's going to eventually get you to some expected end. It's going to eventually take you somewhere. So you have to ask yourself, are my actions aligned with my vision? Are my habits and my attitudes and, just the little things? That's what it's about. That's what leads you to that level. It's not like, like they say all the time, there's no such thing as an overnight success. You're not just gonna wake up at 20 years old and then flip a switch and you're gonna be in the NFL. Nah, if you want to be there, you got to start building that foundation at 10 years old. You got to start, thinking in that, because now, man, the competition is so ridiculous. You have Huddle and you got all these different platforms. You got kids who are coming out with ridiculous followings. And if you're not on somebody's radar by like the ninth, 10th grade, then you might as well forget it as far as playing at that, high level at D1. So even to make it to college, it's a challenge. We're not even talking about playing pro now. So it's, like I said, you have to start early in terms of preparing and operating at that level that you eventually want to be at.
Amen to that. You mentioned having those pro habits. So, are there any two particular habits that probably helped you while you were at that level of playing heck that maybe even transferred over into your business?
No, that's good. Definitely the number one habit, one of the top habits I would say is doing more than what is required, going above the call of duty. I call it understated excellence.
Ooh,
Yeah, understated excellence. That's where if you see somebody that represents that understated excellence, that's that person where it's like you don't know what they do, you don't know, you don't know what title they carry, but they walk around and just their body language tells you that they do something, they're special, right? And that's from like how you approach things, how you approach your workouts, how you approach, relationships, how you approach people. You look them in the eye, shake their hands, like all those little things, doing more, like I said, doing more than what is required. And that's in not just on the field, that's in terms of who you are as a person. You're developing those leadership skills, all those things, man, is what I call understated excellence. And that's what I always tried to strive for, man. Once I realized that, like I said, I was undersized for my position, I strove just to achieve, like just to strive for perfection in everything that I did to make up for my lack of height. So I thought about my character, I thought about my leadership, and I wasn't perfect by any means, but I always had that growth mindset. So I always, even if I had a great game, I was thinking about how could I get better? How can I improve? And all those things. That was the first thing, doing more than what is required, going above the call of duty, having that mindset of understated excellence. And then the next thing is just being humble, man. Humility takes you such a long way. If you're coachable, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to, just observe those around you and not think that you have it all figured out and you arrived. And because I look at some kids, they're making plays in high school or even in little league, and now they think they're the next whatever, they're the next Tom Brady. They're dominating in little league, and it's like, chill out, you ain't even made a dime yet. Like, just because you got 10,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok, like you think you're the man now, you can't listen to anybody, and the thing about pride, like, and arrogance is to me, it's a disability because it blinds you from so many weaknesses that you may have, and it blinds you, from the fact that you may be going down the wrong path, and you're so blinded by your arrogance that you don't even realize certain things, and the people who want to tell you, they can't even tell you because it's like you're not even gonna listen, you're not even gonna accept it. So the more humble you are, man, I feel like, the farther in life you'll go. And that's regardless of your talents, that's regardless of your abilities and your intelligence. I've had so many people, man, just help me and do things for me that they normally wouldn't, just because of my humility, just because I was willing to ask for help. And because I was, because I just humbled myself, man. So those are two things that I would say that, habits that you definitely want to have that will pay amazing dividends, whether you're on the field of sports, in the world of business, no matter where you are in life.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. My man's still dropping gems, baby. Understated excellence, right? Oh my goodness.
Yes, sir.
And humility, man. You're so right about that, man. Like, definitely, humility is a must. It's like there's a time to be a little cocky just to be playful, but you got to be able to back it up and still keep your head down and still do the work. You can't rest on your laurels at all. At all.
Yeah, I mean, from what I see, man, being in the league, it's like you're gonna get destroyed. Like you're gonna have those welcome, what I call welcome moments. I don't care how good you are, I don't care how big you are, somebody's gonna knock you on your behind. And like in those moments, if you don't have that humility to go back in the film room and reassess, look at yourself in the mirror, come back out there and learn, and really and start from the bottom, and pick yourself up, you're gonna fail. Like it's only gonna be a matter of time. That's something that I learned along my journey, man, that I think is so important for people to understand.
Yeah, I can say that again because the NFL, like they got like 5,000 magnifying glasses on you, man.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like no matter how you climb, you're always going to have to start over in some way, shape, or form. So it's like I when I got to high school after playing in, middle school and did great there, I had to be the bench warmer again. Then I dominated high school, got to college, had to be the bench warmer again. Then dominated that, became a 3-time All-American, buckets war finalist, all that. When I got to the league, it didn't even matter. Had to humble myself again. And then I got cut my second year, had to go up to Canada and play up in the cold and had to humble myself again. So it's just like, I don't care how much success you have, like there's always going to be, like, life will always humble you and make you hit that reset button where you kind of you have to go through transitions. You have to adjust and learn something new. And if you can't do that, you're going to struggle. It's going to be tough.
Yes, indeed. You can say that again, my man. Like that, and that just shows like reinvention is a must. Like if you want to be at the
Oh,
top
yeah.
of performance, like reinvention is a must.
Yep. Yep. That is the truth, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I definitely want to be respectful of your time. So just got a couple more questions and let my man make a run for it. So, is there a question that you wish you be asked more often when you're being interviewed, my man?
Oh, man. I think definitely because of my background, a lot of people focus more on the football side. So I always like answering questions that are outside of that realm of sports, and just more so align with what I do now in terms of business and leadership and mindset. So yeah, those are the types of questions I love, man. Those things that are transcending and are universal to, not just athletes but business leaders as well.
Oh, yeah, you could definitely say that again because it's like when you're an athlete, people want to focus so much on the stuff that you did on the field. It's like, oh, business, yeah, okay, whatever. So, I guess
Right.
with that, what was probably the biggest challenge going into the business world being an athlete your whole life, basically?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge I would say going into business world was basically rebranding myself and getting people to understand that there were things that I could offer that were of value to the business world. So it took a lot of work, man, to really establish that trust and credibility, sitting with the CEO and letting them know, hey, even though I spent half my life hitting people full speed, I can come in and speak to your sales team, and I can, what I'm saying? Like, but I also can come in and, speak to your sales team. I can, speak on leadership. I can speak on culture and teamwork in a way that adds value and can move the needle for your business. So that I had to do a lot of work there, just really understanding how to pitch myself, how to brand myself and package myself and my story, and, how to align it with the needs of their organization and everything. And then once I did that, man, it was really about consistency and just really building that track record of success. And once I was able to do that, man, over time, I still get people who come to me just, based off my past in terms of football, but also people now are starting to really respect me as a business person, just, as I built that track record of success. But that was one of the toughest things. And even for myself, it's like, when you get to walk in certain rooms, you have that tendency to have the imposter syndrome. Do I belong here? If it's a room full of CEOs and whatnot. But the more I understood not only their world, but how my world of sports translates, man, the more it gave me confidence to believe that I could add value and I could make an impact in the second half of my life.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Definitely consistency is a must indeed. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're at 25 again, but this time in 2021
Mm.
with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
What advice would I give to myself? I think the biggest advice I would give to myself if I could go back to, you said if I could go back to my 25-year-old self with all the knowledge that I have now.
Yeah, but you're in 2021 instead, though.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest piece of advice I would give to myself is definitely to start working on myself and my mentality, like, in terms of mental health and that aspect of things. Because when I left the game, man, it's like you can leave certain environments, but parts of it will always be a part of you. And so I believe because we as athletes, especially, we start this from when we start chasing our dreams at the age of 10 years old. And there's so many things that are a part of us that are wired within us, like being a part of that culture of toxic masculinity, right? Where you're told to suck it up no matter what. That can be damaging, man, later on in life. Like when you need to share your emotions and you need to be able to admit you need help and you need to admit that, that you don't feel so right. You're not sure of how to move forward. So that's something that I would definitely tell myself, whether it's therapy, whether it's counseling, I would definitely highly recommend to get into that, especially going through the different transitions of life, man. Because I don't care how smart you are, how talented you are, like you can't escape those things that may hinder you or may hurt you as you're going through your transitions, as you're going through major injuries, and even things from your childhood. You know, there's things that we all face, man, that we have to be able to peel back the layers and face ourselves and learn who we are, away from those things that a lot of times become our norm, like sports. So many of us use sports as an escape, or accomplishments, or our job as an escape. So that's what I would say to myself, man, is start working on yourself ASAP.
Woo! Yes, indeed. This episode's full of knowledge bombs, baby. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And that's only a taste of it. Like, my man probably only dropped like 3% of what he can do, baby.
Yeah.
So for those who want to get more into that bigger piece of that percentile, the radiant Rennie pie, what's the best way for folks to keep in contact with you, my man?
Yeah, so easiest ways through my website, renniecurran.com, and also on Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on all those platforms, man. I'm always open to talk, to offer advice, to mentor, to coach, to speak at an event, man. So definitely get in touch with me. And I look forward to hearing from anybody that reaches out.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to renniecurran.com. Click that link. It'll be in the show notes in the bottom of this episode on the podcast website. Keep up with all that he's doing. Buy copies of his books. Tell your friends about it. Tell your family about it. Heck, even share with a penguin. That penguin might share with the rest of the igloo people, and they can learn how to be the best free agents ever, folks. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. So, any parting words before we close up shop, my man?
Nah, man, I think we hit it all on the head, man. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share, man, just my past and just drop a few gems and all that good stuff. So I wish everybody who's listening to this the best and hope to hear from you.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode. Heck, even shoot myself or the guest an email and let them know what you liked most about this interview, so that way they can stay inspired to keep pushing out great work.